All right, guys, I know when I first started bass fishing, I was really scared to throw the bait that I'm throwing right now, and that is the jig. That little thing. And I'm telling you, it can be so daunting when you first put it on a bait caster, but I'll tell you, when you really get to know how to use it, you can catch some fish. Let's go over how to fish it. All right, so the first thing I want to go over is the rod and reel and line setup that you want for a jig. And so this here, I've got a Arc Catalyzer 7.2 heavy action rod. And for the reel, you really just need something, that's got a good speed gear ratio. So say a 7.5 to 1. This one here is a Lew's ISO bait caster. And this is actually my favorite jig rod. But also when you're fishing a finesse jig or just a smaller jig, so say anything less than 3/8 of an ounce, you can go down to a medium heavy and it has plenty enough backbone and power to put the hook in the fish's mouth. Now let's talk about line. So line kind of depends on the body of water you're fishing, the clarity of the water, and the structure you're fishing around. So let's say, for example, you're fishing a muddy body of water with a lot of rocks, trees, laydowns, and things that can really fray your line. So in that body of water, you can get away with really heavy line. So I would go, for example, 17 to 18 pound. And that's actually what I've got on this setup, because a lot of the areas that I fish have a lot of that covered. But if you're in a more clear water lake, you'd want to go down to maybe 15 or 16 pound. And that line, it's got small enough diameter that it's not going to show up in the water to where the fish can see it, but it's thick and strong enough to where you can pull those fish out of wherever you need to. Now, the last step to learning how to fish a jig is learning how to work the bait once it's in the water. So where I'm at right now, I've got a rock to my right. So I've casted right on that rock, and right now my line's tight, but I'm letting that bait sink and fall until I feel the structure that I could see with my eyes. So now that I feel that, my rod tip's up in the air. You want to keep it there and reel down and just hop the jig off of that structure. Feel your line, keep it tight, reel down again, hop, hop, hop. And so when you're fishing a jig, the main thing is that you're feeling, your rod can feel the contact that your bait is making with the bottom. And as long as you're doing that, and you just gotta wait until that fish thumps it. And most of the time with a jig bite, it's gonna be, a thump, a really big, thump, or your line's gonna go like this. It's gonna jump and you'll feel it. But sometimes when a fish bites it, it honestly feels like mush. It feels like your bait is dragging through the mud on the bottom of a lake. And so when that happens, your line's gonna be running, and it just takes time to learn how to detect that bite. But guys, glad I could make this video. A jig's one of my favorite baits, especially when the water's getting colder, and I hope y'all are able to go out and catch some fish on it. I'll see you later.